Hi, welcome to A1R. I'm Anna Olsen here on my segment today, Tuesdays, 1:30 Pacific Standard Time and 4:30 Eastern Standard Time every week. Anna Olsen, Insights into Consciousness. Today, I'm just going to talk and let me tell you why it's worth your time, okay? Because I want to talk to you about toxic personalities and what to do about those toxic personalities. Now, I know that you can go jump on YouTube and you can ask therapists and you can read a million books, but I want to tell you what to do with toxic personalities such as narcissists or maybe even just somebody who's having a bad day. Now, we don't want to try to label anybody and play psychologist because that can also be like an energy suck from us. But I want to just say, if anybody's having a moment or a lifetime of toxic behavior, this is what you do energetically. And this is what you do to really safeguard yourself, your mentality, your mind, and your spiritual energy from toxic people. And first things first, it's really important to know that anybody who is being toxic is to first identify them. They have to leave you depleted, drained, feeling either nervous or upset or depressed after you've had an encounter with them. So that's a surefire way to know if a person is toxic. Because sometimes people are like, am I being too sensitive? Am I blowing this out of proportion? Is this normal? Should I be more patient with people if they're having a bad day? And I'm here to tell you that you're going to know from these following things. First of all, when you're around them, you feel an edge, like you're walking on eggshells. There's a lack of deep trust. It's like when you're around them, you're kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop, and you just hope it stays peaceful, but you're not counting on it. And really the people that we tend to give a pass to are people in our family or people that, are in our surroundings for so many years that we're kind of used to this. So this is why we behave this way, is basically like, okay, well, I'm kind of used to it. This is just how they are. I have this investment in this person, and it's not good for us. It's not good for you. It's not good for anybody to put themselves in a situation where they're around a toxic person. And it's not, what happens is you become toxic yourself because you have this energy field. All of us have an electromagnetic field surrounding our bodies. We know that even at conception, our bodies are made up of electricity and electromagnetics. So we have to program this electromagnetic field in the way we want it to look. And I want to teach you about that today and let you know that you have the power to do that in your own space on your own time. And let me tell you why this will also cause your goals to be attained, okay? So first off, when we talk about our electromagnetic field and protecting it from toxic people, we have to remember, okay, everybody has a bad day. So some people we want to block out of our lives for a moment or a day because they really just aren't feeling it that day. They had their spouse yell at them, their dog died, or they got in a car accident, or they just didn't get enough sleep. Okay, that's different than somebody who is inherently a permanent problem every single time you have an interaction with them. Okay, anybody can have a bad day. And we want to practice this following exercise in the same way with them. But, it's really also about setting physical boundaries. If you have to sit there and concentrate and meditate and get really clear with like protecting yourself and putting all this mental, psychic energy into being around a person, it's really time to like rethink if you should be around this person on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, or at all. And this is why we have boundaries. This is why we have, boundaries, like let's say even in a territory, because somebody gets in and everything goes to what. So we're looking at this in a way of your electromagnetic field is your territory. It is your emotional well-being, physical well-being, spiritual well-being. And that person, no person is allowed in unless they have, they are not a traitor to your territory. So when we look at our electromagnetic field, it's our territory, it's our boundary. And we have to set this boundary with people emotionally, physically, and spiritually, mentally, emotionally. This is a all-encompassing process. So first off, we know about shielding. I think just about anybody in this field of readers and anybody who does energetic healing knows that we can always shield and protect ourselves. The way that we usually do this is we imagine a white light coming from the divine. So it doesn't come from us, but it comes from the divine, whatever your entity and whatever it is that you want to use. Christ consciousness, Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary. Really, it's just about, okay, if I want to have this, I'm hearing the birds outside. It's beautiful. I don't know if you heard it, but it's about hearing this, feeling this really wonderful energy of light and protection and love and peace that just is all-encompassing, protective. It feels very nurturing, protective, loving, peaceful, kind, joyful. It's going to completely surround your body. You're going to breathe deep when you do this so that you just inhale that wonderful oxygen. Oxygen is a big part of this shielding. And you're just going to like surround yourself with this beautiful light. It can be golden, white, blue, like even the blue light of Jupiter. It can be a rose-colored light, a lavender light from Archangel Michael. It can be from Archangel Raphael or Gabriel. You pick. This is just really as needed. And you can do layers, different layers of light. It just goes around your body into your heart chakra. It's beautiful. It's protecting it. It just permeates your cells. It illuminates those cells. You can see it in your mind's eye, and you can feel it with your heart and your diaphragm. And you just let it sink down to the bottoms of your feet and into the Mother Earth, into our beautiful Gaia. And it just goes into that, the base of the earth comes back up through us out of our heart chakra to connect heaven to earth through our heart, so that we are a conduit and a connection between heaven and earth. It goes back up out of the crown chakra, which is the head. It goes back from the top of our body back into the divine. So there is an ongoing loop of protection and energy and love. And you can even seal the top of your head so that you have this nice, sturdy, protective, loving, guiding light and shield around you. You can also add a whole bunch of things to it, like you can make it a brick wall if somebody's really bugging you. You can make it a mirror if you want them to see themselves and their actions around you. You can even make it a filtered shield where you filter out anything negative back and forth. We also don't want to take out our bad day. I don't know about you, but I don't want to take out my bad day on anyone else. Okay, that's just going to stay right here, and I'm going to deal with it myself. Okay, and I really suggest that for everyone, because we don't want to be alone when we die. Okay, I'm just going to say it. That's really what that's about. And so, we don't want to take out anything on anybody else that is exclusively our problem, because they can feel that's our problem, and then they will not want to be around us. So let's make sure that we program this in a way that's going to be a loving light for all, nice guiding, loving, light of just empowering, beautiful protection and guidance. Okay, so this is shielding. Now, this is your electromagnetic field. This is your protection. This is your power that you have against anything that may try to bring you down, harm you, or cause you to fail. Now, when we're talking about our electromagnetic field in our territory, we also want to program that to only attract those people who are good for us, loving, healing, generous, and kind, who can be our earth family. It doesn't have to be a relative by blood. It can be, but it can be anyone. We're all human. We're all connected with the same thing. Now, I want to also add that when you're having a really bad time, or you're grieving or something like that, we also want to add a little cherry on top to this electromagnetic field. And that is that you're going to become a flower. Now, bear with me. I know this might start sounding cheesy just right off the bat, but hear me out. You're going to become a flower. Your energy is going to turn into a flower that comes from it grows out of your spine and your crown chakra into the divine, into the atmosphere. And what happens is when we see flowers in nature, which we are all very connected to, we're all made out of the same intelligence as they are, the same stuff, the same energy. We know plants and flowers move. We know that they respond to the elements. They're very, very alive, just like we are. So we're going to make ourselves a flower, our electromagnetic field a flower. It's going to open up into the divine. It's going to face the divine, where we are going to just absorb the divine light and energy in any way that we need at that given time. And we are going to imagine that as we grow from our experiences, we are going to continue to face that basically like an energetic flower into the direction of the divine. We're going to just soak up the light. We're going to soak up that what sunlight, divine sunlight, to really nourish us when we're really having a hard time. It's to nourish you. It's to, give you what you need without you having to do more visualization. You're going to leave it there, and it's going to tether to your spine and up into, out of your head, up into the ethereal, into the atmosphere, into the divine light, into that dimension of peace, love, and with God. Now, as you grow this flower, it's going to continue to grow closer to heaven. It's going to continue to grow as you learn, and that learning in your electromagnetic field in a positive way will be able to fertilize this flower to continue to grow up to the light and to be nourished and to get bigger and brighter and more amazing as you learn. Now, this is something you can put in place around the full moon. You can put it in place anytime, really, but it's a little more effective, I think, just for visualization and for energetic reasons to do it, even during the dark moon, even during the new moon. So anytime you want, you can do it. Don't just think you have to do it then, but that's another good time to recharge it, to reimagine it, to put it in place again. Now, when we talk about toxic people around this electromagnetic field that we've set up so perfectly and have programmed so perfectly, we want to make sure that we are, first of all, attracting only positive people. But we all know that, life is life. And sometimes we do have some toxic people that we're working with, setting these boundaries on. And so I want to reiterate that despite having a shield, that sometimes these things still do happen. We still have our weaknesses. We still attach to negative things outside of our electromagnetic field and kind of pull them in. So, everybody does this. Nobody's perfect, but we get better and better at it as we grow spiritually. So the toxic personalities. Now, there are so many people from this day and age living today in 2021 who are from an era of less conscious upbringings. Now, we know as time goes on, we all will experience new technology, new inventions, more research. They're even saying the new teenager years are up to 21 to 25 because now we know prefrontal cortexes aren't even developed until then. There's all these things coming about where we're becoming more and more conscious. We're becoming less like our great-grandparents. And as much as we want to bring with us all of the wonderful things that our great-grandparents gave us and our grandparents and our parents, we want to take the good, but we want to leave the stuff that wasn't working. And unfortunately, we do have quite a plethora of toxic personalities. Now, again, this can go from day to day, hour to hour, morning to evening, and we don't want to put too many labels on it. But there is an influx of narcissism in our society, especially from certain generations with certain ways of thinking, different cultures, religions. And I think it's really important for us to be able to identify this, because if you've been raised around it, even if you have one aunt or uncle or something like that who's pretty narcissistic or even sociopathic, these are those toxic personalities, it's really important to know that it's not natural to bring other people down, to be parasitic in an energetic, physical, or financial way. It is very important to set those boundaries with people. If they are affecting you in any way that makes you feel bad, that makes you feel lesser than, that makes you feel like you're not good enough, or you're being taken advantage of, this is the time to really set your boundaries and get them off of your electromagnetic energy, okay? This can be done in one day. You can write a list of how you're going to put boundaries on that person, even by phone or text, but especially physically. If you're going to, like, let's say a family reunion or something, and you see the person once and you can deal with them, it's a lot different than if they're in your environment on a daily basis, barging in your front door, coming in, telling you how to run your household. There need to be boundaries, and we need to stick up for ourselves. So it can start with a visualization where you're really working on it energetically and spiritually so that you can have the strength especially with our flower that's tethered up to the divine, you have the strength to really set those boundaries and to make up your mind that you're going to do it and you're not going to be part of a toxic environment anymore. So really, a lot of my readings are dealing with the aftermath of people not being able to set boundaries on very toxic people early on in their lives. And, I've been in relationships with these people and learned my lesson the hard way. They tend to really try to latch on and parasitically take advantage of people who are kind, who are spiritual. Definitely I have my bad days. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I'm just saying that they tend to really find the people who are more vulnerable, who are maybe even a little emotionally immature at the time when they first meet them, or sometimes, the person is just down on their luck and they're needy and they need somebody to survive even. And so these toxic personalities tend to just latch on to people in these circumstances. They love the limelight. They love to look good. They love an image. But when you get in behind closed doors, it's a whole other story. And we all are a little different behind closed doors. We all have a mask. But these are really severe, meaning it isn't like they just didn't put their dish in the dishwasher. Okay, I'm talking about abuse. I'm talking about things like manipulation, cheating, not paying attention to your needs, discounting your feelings, making you feel stupid, unloved, unwanted. Those are all the really bad, awful shame energy things that bring you right down into being even mentally and emotionally and physically ill. So these are the personalities that I want to talk about today. Now, first off, the biggest thing that I see is people coming to me and saying, I just don't know what to do about this toxic personality. And I want to really give a nice analogy of what this looks like to an outsider looking in who's overcome some of these patterns. That would be me. And I've had a lot of training in the psychological realm where I have been forced to look at myself and get feedback with people who are very direct with me, who I'm forever grateful for. And it's priceless, honestly. So this is my feedback for you to give you the same gift and to pass it along, okay? If you are dancing with a very toxic person and you are engaged with them and you are allowing their pattern to overtake your life, your behavior, and your emotionality, and just giving them a key straight into your front door, whether that means like your heart, your electromagnetic field, or even your house or your children's lives, and they're really, really making you feel terrible and your children terrible, your family, your spouse. Sometimes it is a spouse. And if you think it is your child, to be honest, it's really time to look at yourself in your parenting, because that's different, okay? That's when you really need a therapist. So, but I want to just give you the tool to look at this from, like, let's say you're directing a movie, you're going to kind of like pull out of your situation and look at your situation as if you're directing a movie of your life. You're going to look at your situation, and this is what we call an exercise to gain insight, personal insight. So it's similar to when you're looking at, like, let's say somebody else's situation, and you're able to say, oh, I know exactly what they need to do. I've got it. They need to move on there. They need to dump this one, and they need to get rid of that friend. And they need, you know what the person needs to do on the outside looking in. It's so easy, like if you're watching a movie, right, or a show. But it's so hard for people when they're in the situation to see their old patterns and to move along and give themselves the same advice. And this is usually why we need some nice neutral feedback. But I want to tell you that if you are dancing with a toxic personality, whether you work with them, they're part of your family, they're a good friend, a parent, uncle, aunt, it doesn't matter where they are in your life. If they're toxic and they're really causing you some serious pain, it's time to cut that attachment. It's time to cut the cord. You stop dancing and interacting and playing the game. Because what this can turn into is a codependency. And we want to really stay away from codependency, because then you could be in this situation where you're like, oh, this person's on drugs now, or what, and you're sitting there trying to work full time to pay all the bills to, keep them from dying on the couch or something. It can get that bad. And so we're talking about setting boundaries and saying no. It's simply saying no. It's simply looking at your history. And even if you have shaky legs to start out on your own, that you say no to these toxic personalities. You set your own boundaries. You have your own territory. Do you want to only, invite them out to public if you want to see them? Are they saying bad things about you to your children? Are they affecting your children so that you're going to have a very toxic, dysfunctional relationship with your children? These are all things that are going to really bring you down. It's almost like self-abuse, allowing somebody to behave this way. And so it's really about getting away from them, doing whatever you can to put the boundary up. Now, I want to talk about the energetic boundaries. I want you to imagine that the person you have the most problem with is in front of you. You would just imagine their face. They're standing there, but they're not saying anything. They're just looking at you, and you're looking at them. Now, I want you to imagine that there's a door between you and this person. You're going to take a step back, look them in the eye, and shut the door. Now, what I want you to do is lock the door. And this is a transparent door, okay? Now, this door is transparent. You're going to see that person turn their back to you and walk away. This is a forever door. This is a door that is perfect in its boundaries. This is a door that you can see that they're no longer invested or interested in picking on you or getting anything from you or using you as a punching bag or pulling you down in any way, shape, or form. And this is for you to stop allowing. And then I want you now to turn around so your back is towards them. Now I want you to imagine the door translucent, literally dropping off of a cliff, and it is no more. It's no longer in your life. It's no longer in your psyche. And the cord has been cut. You will no longer think about this person, so they will have free rent in your mind. They will no longer be part of your reality. They will no longer make you feel upset. They will no longer have that power over you. You've dropped them from your life, energetically, mentally, psychologically, psychically, physically. So from now on, no matter what you do in your life, it's going to be perfect boundaries for this person. They are no longer allowed to text you if they're not going to be friendly. They are no longer allowed in your life unless it is a positive interaction. If that is not possible, there's going to be a no contact contract. You now have a new spiritual contract with this person, and now it's time for you to be selfish and heal. So our society thinks that somehow somebody is selfish if they put up with abuse, or if they say no to an abusive parent, or an ex, or a friend, or a coworker, or a boss. And I'm here to tell you that that's not true. You are not selfish for setting boundaries on yourself. You are not selfish for taking care of yourself like you would your child or your spouse or anybody or even a pet. Let's give ourselves the benefit of the doubt. And, really, we're human. We deserve just as much as anyone else. And I want you to really stop and think about who else in your life you're allowing to be on your territory when it's dangerous. Are they a threat to your well-being? You're going to now do the same thing with each one of them. And you can also make a list where you say, this is where they hurt me, this is how they have access to me, and this is my plan to stop them in their tracks, to make sure that we each turn our backs on each other and that door that you shut and locked is now off a cliff. So the symbolic nature and the symbolism behind this door dropping off a cliff, they are in a lower consciousness than you. You are now rising above into the higher consciousness. You are now in a nice, clear, concise, loving, joyful place. And now you are only going to attract people who are of the same vibe, the same frequency of love and joy and peace and harmony and tranquility and beauty. And that's where your heart lies. So I have to tell you that you are just as dysfunctional as a toxic person when you are thinking about them incessantly, you are allowing them space in your head, or you are interacting and dancing with them. It takes two to tango, and it's no joke. Like, if you've ever searched gray rock, you will know the best way to put a stop to bad treatment with somebody like a narcissist is you just act like you're not interested in giving them the satisfaction of hurting you. And that means you're neutral, they don't bother you, you shrug it off, you turn around and you go about your day. So I really would love to hear from you. I do readings. I have a website, AnnaOlsenIntuitive.com. That's ANNAOLSEN, intuitive.com. And you can also reach me on Instagram. I'm on Instagram at Tiny Medium Queendom. And I would love to hear from you. I'd love to hear your comments about this and what your experience is with toxic personalities and how maybe you broke through or how you've come out of this. Or if you need help from me, I can always work with you. Just let me know. I'd love to hear from you. So have a great week. I'll see you next week, Tuesday. Every Tuesday, I'm always here. And you can always reach me on my website. I'm also on all of like Spotify, just iTunes, Google Play. It's Anna Olsen, and it's Insights into Consciousness. So search for that on A1R. Thank you so much and have a great week.